So, like I was saying, just assuming that one of the characters is looking for his son, because the second video kind of implies that there's a second character. You just kind of hear a phone call, like, of a kid asking.
Oh, wait, so did you see what he had on his jacket? It says Mares with like it's an acronym for something, sort of like stars from Resident Evil.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's something. I think it was like Hades or something like that, or it's kind of hard to tell.
I wonder what that stands for then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does look like they changed a lot of the enemies from the Reborn project, because they look more like necromorphs or something in Daymare.
And definitely, like, the main character here, total reference to Hunk with the red lenses and whatnot on his gas mask.
Yeah. So,
but
yeah, this was apparently originally supposed to be like a Resident Evil 2 remake project, and then it turned into kind of its own thing once they found out, I guess, that the Capcom was working on a remake for Resident Evil 2.
Yeah, after they got invited to Capcom to do a Resident Evil 2 fan remake project, that's when they decided to make something from the ground up, because they didn't want to scrap everything that they had. And they also have a former Capcom artist on board with them, so that's why they have like a lot of really interesting designs. Now we can go into the gameplay trailer, which I think the gameplay trailer is going to have a lot more.
It does.
Again, the first trailer or whatever, it does not have much. So,
Yeah, I mean, you only mostly see the zombies and just the environments, or at least the city environment. I can tell it still does have like traces or remnants of like the Resident Evil 2 remake in there, because of the city on fire and all that, and that was something in Resident Evil 2. So
yeah.
I don't, like I said, I don't know how much they changed from the original project they were working on. If they like completely, I don't think they completely redid everything, obviously, because the environments still look similar. But yeah, I don't know exactly just like how much. I know they changed the enemies, but the setting looks pretty much mostly the same.
So, yeah, I'm trying to find the specific part here really quick, because there was something that
I got the gameplay trailer
up. Before we start that other trailer, if you pause at like 40, like around 42 to 44 seconds in the first announcement trailer, this is really the only thing that caught my eye, and I don't think they had this in Resident Evil 2 Reborn, but it seems like there might be some stealth mechanics here. I don't know how that's going to play out, but it could be very interesting, seeing how how that could work, especially in more claustrophobic environments.
They could have like enemies that you need to be stealthy around, and if they spot you, then it's like you can't fight back for whatever reason, maybe. Because I just hope it's not done the same way like Evil Within, for example, does it, where it's like feels very tacked on. You don't really need to do it. The only reason you would do it is just to get like an insta kill, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know if maybe not necessarily like, oh well, you can't get spotted per se, but perhaps like it would just be really hard to take that particular enemy head on. As opposed to just, sneaking around them and conserving your ammunition and just kind of waiting for either, whenever you do get better weapons and whatnot or upgrades, and then taking it on where it's a lot more of a viable option.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the only thing that really caught my eye in the first announcement trailer. I think we're good to go on the first gameplay trailer, which there's a lot more to really dive into.
Isn't it like 20 minutes?
It's a 6-minute video.
I don't know why I thought it was 20 minutes. Crazy.
I wish it was 20 minutes. It would give us a lot to go through, but
yeah, it doesn't really look like they really have a lot to go off of now. So
yeah, But whenever you guys are ready to go on to the first gameplay trailer, let me know and I'll do the countdown.
I've got it up. So
Alrighty. So 3, 2, 1, and go.
yeah, so this is what I was watching when we fucked up the first recording.
Yeah.
So I already kind of know what's somewhat of what's going on in this video.
Yeah.
I speculated that this might have been like a redone police station from the Resident Evil 2 remake that they were doing, because it kind of looks a little bit like it.
Yeah, I want to stop right here at 30 seconds, because this is kind of key here. If you look at the bottom right corner on the video, it says, like Hades or Hades, and then the character might be named Leave or Levy. I don't know.
Leave.
Yeah, and it's 9:23 p.m. If I'm not mistaken, this game is taking place in Europe, if I'm not mistaken. So that might be why there's more of an interesting name, or maybe that's just a code name, because again, this is like a special agent looking guy. But I think Hades is, again, like a part of the organization that they're in. And this is going to kind of tie into the end of the trailer, because there is another character we see, and it's potentially hinting at 2 playable characters.
Do you think they could be this is like their version of the BSAA or something?
Yeah, I'm wondering like what's up with the acronyms, because they have Mare and then they have Hades. I don't know if it's like if it's another organization or if it's just like something else. Actually,
he kind of looks like he's based off. Hunk isn't the only one that dresses like that, right? With the suit, with the gas mask and all that, Nari.
The only other person that dressed like that was the one character in Revelations 1 from Veltro, but I forget his name.
Wasn't that also what the characters in Operation Raccoon City kind of looked like? Where it's
the umbrella operative.
But that game is not particularly canon. Although I think, as far as like how Umbrella like troops are designed, I think that's kind of, the general theme that
maybe it's like supposed to be inspired by that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he looks kind of Hunk inspired, minus like the helmet.
Yeah, and I think going into that, like the organization he could be tied to might be not necessarily like BSAA like James mentioned, but more like
Umbrella,
like this game's variation of Umbrella. Like maybe you.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
That was my second guess.
Yeah, like maybe you play as an antagonist and a protagonist in this game, as like 2 different sides of a coin.
It could be possible that Hades they're not evil though, like Umbrella.
Well, what it could be is that maybe it's kind of like supposed to be like in Resident Evil 2, where you played as, first you played as Leon and then you played as Claire. Maybe there's like 2 different campaigns or something like that.
Oh, for each character?
Maybe.
Yeah, and I mean, going by that logic too, if you decided to play the other disc and started to play with Claire first, you could get a completely different story from that, as opposed to playing with Leon first.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, since it was originally a Resident Evil 2 project, they might have had things they were planning to do with that they still might carry over into Daymare.
Yeah. So I think we're good to move on from this portion, unless if you guys have anything else to add on to this.
No.
It's dark as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's the flashing lights, though, so...
Yeah, but whenever you guys are good,
fine,
3, 2, 1, and go. So we should be at 31 seconds.
2, 3. I like the frame rate. I will comment on that. Thank you, 60 frames.
Yep. Yeah, it runs at a pretty steady 60, it looks like.
It also seems they really took the criticisms against the lighting, very well, and they
it still is a dark environment, but it's kind of supposed to be that way.
At least I can see in front of me now.
Yeah, because the problem that Resident Evil 2 Reborn had was that you couldn't see anything, but with this game you can actually kind of see, even though it's still pretty dark.
I mentioned this before too. I like how they do the thing with the ammo clip where it shows how much ammo you have.
Do you want to pause at that particular frame because that's
I'd have to go back a little bit.
110.
110.
Also, I know no one commented on this, but I do like the animation when the zombie got shot in the head. It looked more natural.
Yeah.
It's that a lot of games they have this thing where if you hit them at a certain point in their animation, they kind of like snap to their death animation instead of naturally going into it, and it looks janky.
Yeah. But yeah, we're at the 110. Paused at that particular frame. There's something I kind of want to comment on here, other than what you pointed out, Chaos, with like the ammo counter being on like the magazine. I don't know if you noticed this, and it's kind of hard to tell, but the magazine also kind of glows green a little bit underneath. I think that's just to show what kind of ammo you might have in the game, so we could see like potentially different ammo types.
It could
and
be.
one other thing that I noticed too was that on the character's handgun, on the handgun, the trigger is red, so that could be hinting at weapon customization.
Possibly.
What about the sidekick thing on his wrist? That's what it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like he has some kind of a computer thing or some. I don't know what that is. A
He's
keyboard.
literally a sidekick.
Yeah, it looks like one of those little like a flip phone or like with the Blackberries. Or they
Those
just
things
slide out.
used to be they used to be like the in now thing, I guess, but I don't know. I don't know where they had got the inspiration for the communicator looking thing for.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's what it's going to be used for.
I have a feeling that might be your like inventory option screen or something.
It could
like
be that
you
too.
access.
That'd be cool if you put that, or you pause the game and he like puts the hand in the middle of the screen or something.
Yeah, like kind of like a live
more immersive pause transition.
Yeah, you can also kind of make out like on the side bottom on the bottom right corner again. There's a health bar, and then there's also a blue gauge, which I think we'll talk about later because there's a portion that's kind of significant to that. But I think there's also like a little ammo counter there as well, and then something that says H, which I'm not sure if that's supposed to mean that character has a handgun equipped or.
I'm guessing one of those bars must be your stamina.
That's what I thought initially too, but then when you see the trailer or when you see the gameplay later, it kind of seems like that's what health item you have like left and how much you can heal.
Okay.
We'll get into that once we see that. The only other thing that I've noticed too is that with the little like hexagons, maybe that's the amount of items you can carry at once. And perhaps you can get more of those like filled up later on, like maybe up to like 6 or 7 like hexagons in there. So that way you can have various different items on hand.
Yeah, it could be that.
Also, I think the H might mean Hades. I'm just taking a wild guess.
Oh, yeah, that's possible. That could be what it means.
Just to put a little logo there. I don't know why they'll do it, but it seems more likely to me than handgun.
Yeah, possible. Anyway, we can hit play in 3, 2, and 1. The reload animation is really nice too. Yeah.
Reminds me of RE4 how it had good reloads, especially the sniper rifle.
Did anybody want to read that note, or are you gonna go?
No.
No, I think it was just kind of like a generic note, kind of telling you what
zombies are taking over and killing everybody.
I noticed the character doesn't talk when text comes up.
Well, it's a alpha, so I mean that it could be that they don't have the voice acting put in there yet.
Yeah, they could get voice actors in later on. I also really like the fact that they put away the handgun when there's really nothing going on.
Oh, you can holster the gun?
Yeah. That's.
I'm going to guess it's automatic when there's no enemies. Or unless you decide to stop aiming.
Yeah, I mean, well, Unless if we're pulling from the Evil Within again, the Evil Within had it where you could just holster your gun at any point in time.
Yeah.
That was an option. Not that I don't think that this game would need that. I think it would be better just to have it automatically done. But if that's a feature, then it's there.
Also, one critique I would say right now, it said picked up some ammo. I would actually put the counter of how much ammo you just got in like a future build.
I would assume if they're going by Resident Evil logic, picking up one box would mean that you would get a whole clip, so just 15 rounds.
If that is the case, then I guess. Although I'd still prefer just telling me I picked up 15 rounds instead of making me guess.
Mm-hmm.
Another kind of criticism I have, at least at this point, or for this build of the game, is the zombies really don't seem to pose much of a threat at all. I don't know if it's just because it's pre-alpha, but the enemies really don't there's not many of them there, and they don't really seem like that zombie's just kind of crawling around.
I think he's stuck under. I think he's more of an environmental thing that he's stuck.
I guess that's what they're trying to show off is more of just the maybe like the engine or just the environments or something, and maybe not so much like the combat.
Well, they do get into the combat a little bit, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's more of there is some demonstration of combat, but not a huge demonstration of it. There could, this is more just kind of like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is kind of like the setup for the game. Here's like a glimpse of that, and you can kind of.
Don't they have the really big zombie come out? Yep, there he is.
Oh, okay. Well, this one seems a lot more threatening.
Yeah.
Damn.
And he's already limping.
Yeah, one hit. So maybe that's why I guess that they maybe give you limited health.
If you pause right here at 421, really quick, lots of motion blur, obviously, but that's because
shaky cam which I don't like.
But if you notice the gauges, you notice that the little green bar is going down while the turquoise one is kind of filling up. And I think that what that system is basically you can heal at any point in time if you have health items, of course, right? And you can do that while you're moving, but you're going to have this kind of like risk reward system where if you do it while you're moving, you do lead yourself into potential of getting hit easily and leaving yourself vulnerable and also having trouble moving.
Speaking of the Evil Within, it looks like that the character is giving himself an injection or something.
Yeah, you could hear a sound
I'm guessing the green meter is just how much of the injector or how much of the injection he's using to heal himself, and he can only use so much of it, something like that. So instead of it being in your inventory, it's just the meter at the on the screen there.
Right, and you would probably have to fill up a certain amount before you can start healing.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea because then you have to worry about how much of it you use and when you use it. So maybe you run out of it and it's not as easy to get a refill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's also just the potential of could you upgrade that particular gauge? Can you get better if it's a chemical, which I'm assuming that's the case? Could you get better ones and make it more potent and heal you faster? What is going to come out of this particular system?
Yeah.
All right. So, is there anything else, or we're good?
No, not really.
Alrighty. So, 3, 2, 1, and go.
Yeah, I will say that shaky cam is going to be an annoyance. I don't know if it's something they'll probably take out either. I'm pretty sure they'll leave that in there. I just have a feeling.
How do you guys feel about the laser being just a dot instead of a...
I'm okay with it.
A line?
You mean not being a beam anymore?
Yeah,
it's fine.
Like RE4.
It's fine.
Yeah, it looks like that enemy takes a lot of hits. Maybe that's supposed to be a higher level enemy too. Also, it looks like if you just run around it, it doesn't really unless you you don't have to really worry about it hitting you. like, I don't see there's no stamina meter either, which is a little bit concerning, because if you don't have anything like that, you can just seems like you can just run around and not have to worry about, like, running out of breath or anything.
To be fair, as a lot of survival horrors are just running around, something makes it seem pointless.
I don't know. I just think maybe at least if they're not going to have something like that, they could balance it out and just have more enemies on screen or something. And I'm guessing because it's pre-alpha, they only have like the one.
Yeah.
So maybe it's something they'll add in later.
And then I'm gonna pause right about here because right here at 549, we get another character who is
Raven.
presumably named Raven and is part of HAF.
Okay, so I think I know what it meant. Well, maybe it's something they're doing for the trailer, but I'm not sure. But I think I might know what they're doing. So maybe like you get through a certain portion of the game with one character, and then you switch to another character's perspective, and like that's how the whole game is basically you just go through the game with like switching between these different characters. So instead of like doing the entire game like with the perspective of one character, it's just like you get through a certain portion of the story and then you switch character perspectives.
That could work. The other thing that I want to point out is that this is taking place like a few minutes after what had happened with the other character. So like what is going on is, beyond us at this point, but
it could also be because of how they edited the trailer. It might not even have anything to do with the story, but yeah, I mean that it's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it looks like he might be from another organization, HAF.
Yeah, it's weird because it seems like there's a lot of different organizations, so I'm not sure what's going on with that.
Yeah, and also just something to point out too, like this character has different gears, so perhaps like if that kind of translates to gameplay, maybe they're able to like carry less, but maybe they have certain advantages that the other character
He looks less equipped than Lief or whatever his name is.
Yeah,
a lot less. So maybe he's faster than him or something. I don't know.
Maybe, like. The general idea of their gear is kind of the same, but it's fair. Like overall, it's like what they have equipped is different. One other thing that I noticed too is that the little he has the same thing, the little like
the
computer thing on his wrist, but it's blinking red. So maybe that kind of also ties into your health if you're not really looking at the gauge.
Actually, the wrist thing itself looks like it's painted red, so maybe that's the color of their organization.
It's weird
because it was if you go back a few seconds earlier, like if you click at...
Is it the lighting?
Yeah, because click at like 5:43.
Oh, it's just because it's blinking, that's why.
Yeah, because it's blinking for a second.
Oh, okay.
So like when you see it, it's just like, oh, okay, it's just blinking.
Never mind.
I was about to say that might have been something else they took from Dead Space. It does look like there are some, like with the ammo counter, and also the general enemy design. It does look like there's just some Dead Space inspired stuff.
Which I wouldn't say is a bad thing. I mean, if they could really pull it off and do something interesting again, because this is an alpha, so a lot could change before the game comes out. But from the looks of everything, taking inspiration from other things could really go along well with this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we're good to play from here. So 3, 2, 1, and go. And really the last thing you see is just kind of shadows and some noises. So we could be seeing, again, like more enemies coming in, but the trailer obviously cuts out, letting you know that you can back this game in 2017.
So there, it's kind of weird they didn't already have a Kickstarter or a Kickstarter. I guess they're just using Kickstarter so they can get money for like more assets or voice acting, something like that.
Probably, and the potential of like porting it over to other platforms, because I know this is definitely going to come to PC, obviously, but I think they were saying that they were holding off any information as far as like other platforms are concerned, because I think some people were asking you about that. But I think like too, it's they rebranded this game entirely from being Resident Evil 2 Reborn to this, and it's only been a few months apart, I think, from when. Yeah, a few months apart from when the initial trailer and the gameplay footage was first revealed. So not much time has really passed. So I think it's fair to say that them starting a Kickstarter in early 2017 is not too bad.
Yeah, it's just every time I see somebody starting a Kickstarter, it's like it's a good idea, but you always want to be sure that they're not going to just run away with your money and end up canceling the project. So I don't know. I'm always usually cautious about that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I hope not. I hope this does actually end up being a completed project and coming out in some form. But I don't know. It seems it's in the very early stages right now, so it's too early to really judge anything.
Yeah. I mean, from what we have, though, I would say it's a pretty good start. Looks better than RE7 over there.
I mean, it looks
Evil
more
7,
like a Resident Evil game.
Yeah, and that's kind of sad when other developers can make a game that isn't Resident Evil look more like Resident Evil than Capcom can make Resident Evil look like.
Well, I mean, I know their argument is going to be, well, it's going in a completely new direction with the gameplay, but it's not just the gameplay. Like I said, it's just everything else, all as well. It looks like just a completely different game.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, with this game, I think because it's a huge reference to RE2 the most, along with other 90s stuff, I look forward to seeing how this game is going to turn out, and maybe seeing like any references to RE2 as a whole. I think it's going to be interesting to see how this game turns out, because the more I see of it, the more interested I've become. Because initially I wasn't so interested in it when it was RE2 Reborn, but as it's become this, it's gotten me more intrigued.
Yeah, same here. I'm interested to see what's going to come of this.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I think we are good to kind of do outros. So James, you want to do your outro really quick?
I think James is a little bit preoccupied.
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
You can find me on Twitter at DevHunterJames and twitch.tv/StereoJames.
Yep. And then I can do my outro. You guys can find me on YouTube and on Twitter as biodevil_Dom, and then on Twitch as Dom241996. And then lastly, we have Mr. Chaos.
Yep, you can find me on YouTube and Twitter as Captain Chaos. I'll have this video up on my channel as well as having mirrored on the TCP, so you can find it here when it actually is edited and all that.
Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, this has been another cooperative analysis. Hopefully we can do some more of these in the near future. But until then, this has been the TCP signing out.
See ya.
See ya.